Well, I'm going to try to share my screen. Kelsey, is it recording? Can you tell?
It's recorded.
Okay, good. All right. Just want to make sure once I shared my screen, I can't see anything else. But welcome, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us today. I think there's a few more people slowly filing in, but we want to go ahead and get started to be a good steward of y'all's time. So this is our fourth and final, for now, installment of Marketing Foundations. So thank y'all for being here today. It has been such a great little series, and we're wrapping it up today with Jenna Curry, talking about networking. So thank y'all for joining us. There we go. Sorry, wasn't working. I'm Kim Lee. I am the founder and CEO of Forge. We are a co-working space in downtown Birmingham at the Pizitz building. So if you've eaten at the food hall, we're right above. And right now I cannot see everybody who's on this call. So I know some of you are new faces. And one of the things that we do at Forge, we are a membership-based business. So the majority of our members are small business owners, entrepreneurs. We have a lot of remote workers now, people who have been stuck at home and need to have a different place to work while their offices are closed. But one of the things that we have always done at Forge from the very beginning is we love to provide education, not just for our members, but also for just the small business and entrepreneurial ecosystem in all of Birmingham. So we used to do these lunch and learns at Forge in person. So we are excited to start this series back. This is the first of the year that we have done to continue to provide relevant content. So the Marketing Foundations came about as we were just going through getting prepared for the new year, looking at our own business, and just, was reminded how important the basic building blocks of marketing are in building your business, whether you're just getting started or if you have been in business for 5 years. It's always so important to go back to those basics. So that's how we came up with this series that we're doing, Marketing Foundations, because it's no matter the size or the age of your business, it's just always important to go back. So before we get started, I did want to tell you about two things that are going on at Forge. So we recently launched this virtual networking event called Connect. And today's webinar, Jenna actually volunteered to do this topic, not because of Connect. Like, we were already doing Connect, and this was just a topic that was really foundational for her in building and growing her brand. So this was just a great coincidence and a great way to end it, this series. But what we are doing at Connect, it is a weekly networking event. It is virtual. Each meeting is capped at 30 people to ensure in the virtual meeting to ensure that you actually have good connections. We just started accepting founding members. So we started in February for February and March. It has been free, but starting in April 1st, we'll start charging for the event. So if you sign up before April 1st, you get founding member prices, and then the price will go up April 1st, but it's still free in the month of March. So we'd love for you to test it out, see if it's something that is good for you, especially after you hear all that Jenna has to say today. Excuse me. But you can use this little QR code it'll take you to the page to find out more about Connect and where you can sign up. And then next Monday, we have our International Women's Day event. It is a great, fun event for us at Forge. It's one of our favorites. And so we have a great panel, and it is going to be very exciting. We have awesome sponsors, so you can use this QR code to start as well. And as I mentioned, there have been 3 others in this series. They have been great: Google My Business, SEO, and just planning out your core marketing strategies. If you would like to watch those, they are available. You can get them on our website. Love for you to go back and watch those, share them if you think somebody would find the content relevant, but this has been a great series. So here's 2 more. I'll bring these back up at the end if you wanted to RSVP for Connect, or if you are interested in membership at Forge. But now I am going to turn my screen, and I've got to make sure that I have given her permission to share, to Jenna, and we will let Jenna get going. So how this has worked in the past, we chose to do Zoom rather than a webinar because we wanted to see faces and to be able to interact. So would love for y'all in the chat to put who you are, what you do, where you live. Some people are in Birmingham, some people are not. And then at the end, we will have time. We will go through the chat and have question and answer. But during the Jenna's talk, if there's like a question that you don't want to forget, which is usually, that is how I am, just put it in the chat and we will address it at the end. So if you want to turn off your cameras, feel free to do that for now. Be sure to turn on mute. And Jenna, take it away.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Kim. Welcome, everyone. I, funny enough, am not in Birmingham today. I'm in North Carolina talking to all my Birmingham people. And I'm excited to do this presentation. I've done it a number of times and I've always gotten really great feedback. It's the way it's positioned is pretty broad to serve multiple types of industries. So I'd be curious in the chat if you could just type kind of the type of business you're in or perhaps your position. Okay, we've got someone in, are you in New Hampshire? Unless that's like an acronym for something in Birmingham area, which I wouldn't know. I'm very new to the area. Okay. Coaching, awesome. Oh, wow, awesome. New Hampshire. Okay, marketing and programs manager, super, okay. Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. And I wanted to, I'll be able to refer to some of these. We've got marketing and coaching and online fitness and nutrition coach. Okay, awesome. Investment advisor. Okay, welcome everyone. Good broad range here. Lots of ladies looking to connect today. I love it. Okay, so quick intro. We're going to talk about the networking value ladder, possibilities through networking, and then defining your goals and lots of strategies and examples and things that you can start doing today, and probably some things that you've already been doing and didn't even realize that it was something that you could capitalize more on. So it's interesting because I'm a digital marketer for my profession, but so much of my business that I get and through my 3 companies comes through networking, referrals, and personal relationships. So I don't have to do a lot of selling. People are kind of pre-sold before they even talk to me. And so those are the types of strategies we're going to talk about today. So kind of talked about that. So you feel empowered. If you're shy, it doesn't matter. There's so many examples you're going to learn today to start capitalizing and some immediate next steps. So I'm fairly new to, got double zeros there. Just moved to Birmingham in November, been going back and forth since 2019. Love brought me there, and I have 3 businesses. I have a digital marketing agency. I own a visitor relocation guide here in North Carolina, where I am today, where I spend part of my time. And then I founded and run a networking community called the Port City Young Professionals, which I started in 2009. And I joke that I started that group when I was like 11, but I was like 23, I think. So yeah, I'm about to age out of my own group, but we say young and young at heart. So we'll learn more about PCYP and what that group does also. And I love co-working at Forge, and I'm also a new member of the Birmingham Young Professionals, and already put my networking to good use, connected Kim with the president of the YP group, and they've already got some stuff in the works. So you know, that's just one example, just so you know that I'm legit. I know what I'm talking about. Got lots of credibility, done things, been a part of things. I've spoken to lots of events, lots of groups, been on lots of podcasts. And what's funny is, like, I don't do it because I like to see my name on a, Canva design. Like, I do it because I like to connect with all the people that I'm speaking with. So when you volunteer to participate in something, you are then getting access to either the other people that are also participating, the people who are putting it on, and the people behind the scenes. And so if there's a way that you want to get closer to that group or community or business, volunteering to speak on a panel or to speak in general. Sometimes they're even paid speakings, to capitalize on every opportunity with that, and not just, show up and just say, okay, but, ask for the list afterwards. Start reaching out to other panelists before you get on there. So a lot of the reasons I say yes to networking or yes to presenting, even just on a volunteer basis, is because it allows access to people. So this is just like a little fun graphic. For my Hamilton friends, Aaron Burr, you want to be in the room where it happens. So if you're not in the room, you're probably missing out on opportunities. And in this virtual day we're at, you want to be in the Zoom where it happens. So I have hired a client or a customer, I hired a new employee this year from somebody who kept showing up on my Zoom calls. I've gotten multiple new clients this year from networking on Zoom. Very new to Birmingham. I have very few friends so far in Birmingham, but I made 2 friends on my first Connect call with Forge. And so went to lunch with one and had drinks with 2 others. And so I know I'm going to be seeing them again. So Zoom, a lot of great stuff can happen on Zoom. You don't even have to get in the car. So we can use networking. I'm going to go real fast because I got a lot of slides. But if you want, just like type in the chat, like slow down, go back. But I kind of have a real packed presentation for you. So networking can help you gain friendships, clients, referral partners, board members, donors, employees, free advice, free stuff. It can help you get mentors. It can help you get interns. Like, it's really unlimited when you start thinking of like how to leverage connections and relationships of what you can get. It's not just about getting the next client and cold calling. Like, it's so much, can be so much more than that. I mean, that's more of a sales strategy than a networking strategy. And because people want to do business with people they like, know, and trust. And so, like I said, I can't even count back how many of my last clients came this very way, where they were referred to me and were already pre-sold on working with me before I even talked to them. I even had a meeting with somebody 2 weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm super interested in bidding on the project. And they were like, oh, you don't have to bid on it, like, it's yours. And I was like, okay, which is a little scary because we hadn't talked about any pricing. So it's either going to be like really great for me, or it might be like, okay, they got my hopes up for nothing. But anyway, those types of things, when you focus on relationships and work and building relationships where people like, know, and trust you, then everything becomes easier. Networking also leverages the power of reciprocity. So the principle of reciprocity is just, and you can all relate to this, when somebody does something nice for you, you have this like compulsion almost to feel like you need to do something back for them. So like if somebody, even like if a stranger buys you a cup of coffee, like at Starbucks randomly, like you feel compelled to almost do that for the next person. And then if it's somebody if they write a review for you and then they message you and they're like, hey, I just left a review for you, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to go and do something for them. So it can get, and this is, I mean, a lot of how, politics works and things like that in business, of like getting things done, but also can work on a very micro scale also. But that is part of how networking works and why you want to start by giving first and then seeing what comes back to you. Because if you go around with your hand out, that is not networking. That's just like icky. And that just gives them people immediate bad vibes. And there's lots of ways not to do it that we'll talk about also. So for me, when I graduated college in 2008, it was really hard time to get a job. The economy was in like way worse shape than it is now. Although I wouldn't want to graduate right now either. It would be tough in different ways. But I started volunteering on a lot of boards, and yeah, I see you. And just trying to meet people. And I was the youngest person on everything that I went to with the chamber and networking events, and there was nothing in my town for young professionals. So I started the Port City Young Professionals in 2009, and I had no idea what that was going to do for me professionally. It immediately made me a magnet to new people coming to the area, to other groups and entities that also wanted an audience of young professionals, our local media, our Chamber of Commerce, like all these entities that probably should have even done this before me were like, hey, now that it's here, we want that. So that's part of why I've won like a lot of awards and had local recognition, is because like I just found a need, and then I mean, it's changed a lot since 2009. 2009, we had like 20 people, and now we have thousands of people. But that's kind of where networking really took off for me. I then created a blog called A Better User Experience with the old agency I was with, and we used that blog to help attract new clients, and to build our own credibility. So we would write about topics we were interested in learning. We would invite people to podcast with us, industry experts, and so we kind of put ourselves through internet marketing school. Meanwhile, we were connecting with, really amazing thought leaders all over, and then positioning us locally as experts on these topics. I joined a business book club in 2012, and in that book club it was all business owners. So I got tons of clients just from being in that book club. With my agency, I was in charge of bringing in new clients, and I was really overwhelmed by that. I was like, sales, oh, this is hard. And so I was like, what's a soft way to start reaching out to people? So I picked 100 businesses we wanted to work with. I scraped all their contact information. We created a survey and said, hey, we're writing a blog about the status of digital marketing in the area, and we want to know which of these things you're doing. And then kind of at the end, it was basically positioned to be yeah, they know they don't know their numbers, and they know they're not doing all the things. And at the bottom, I was like, can we, would you like to talk to us about doing some of these things? So out of 100, we got one. And that one led to 7 more. So I'm just trying to give ideas, and these are all from my own personal story. So this was the early years when I was figuring it out, and I didn't have a guide or a coach or a training. I was just figuring it out. But now I'm very intentional about the networking I do, the speaking opportunities I say yes to, focus on attraction marketing for my own business. Oh, I said intentional networking twice, and scaling 3 businesses. So so my big networking secret is creating a group to attract people that I wanted to get to know. Now, these people in the young professional group aren't necessarily my ideal clients anymore. So PCYP is more of my marketing playground. So I have strategies and techniques I want to try, and I implement them in my own group and my own business, and then I start applying them to clients, for example. But any of you guys can do that for your own types of businesses. So Kim, she just in the beginning just named all these things that she's doing to try to attract people who would be her ideal audience to the space. So having events for entrepreneurs and business owners and community leaders and things like that whether they're virtual and in person, doesn't mean she has to have a members only community for that, but it could even be a Facebook group where you attract those people and provide advice. So ours started as just a email list, just through Gmail, and then it became a Facebook group, and then we got a real email list, and then we got a website. So it was 6 years in before it was super legitimized. It all just started very grassroots. And so you can do the same thing to start attracting your ideal clients or referral partners or donors or kind of whatever it is to you. No, you don't need to create your own PCYP, because whatever you do is going to be way better. And some of those examples that I just gave of things that you can do to attract your own ideal client. So what do we want to understand about networking that a lot of people miss, especially people who are ooh, networking, because I have friends and they're I don't want to come to networking events because it's just a bunch of salespeople and I'm going to get cold called and stuff like that. And that makes me cringe so much, but I totally get it because I've been on the other side of that. But really, networking, when you do it right, is really just all about energy. So it's all about an exchange of energy, and there's multiple ways that we can exchange energy. And it's not just we'll get into that. So the first way is, your emotions. So when people think of you as somebody who brings great, positive, bright, vibrant, good energy, they might even refer you just for that reason. So that could be when you're in person at an event and you don't necessarily have anything to offer someone that you meet, but you are a delight to them in some ways. Following up and getting their contact information, reaching out with them on social media, connecting with them on social media, sending them a message if you see them mentioned in the paper or mentioned on social somewhere. If you see sliding in there, sending them a funny GIF. So this GIF, my boyfriend made this GIF of me the other day because one of my coaching clients like had a really good day, and he does this. And so I literally sent this to like 10 different people like this week, and people just like loved it. So it's just like a fun way to like show my personality and not just send like really stale emails all the time. Send a lot of cat memes too. So there you go. The next you can give outside of energy is like your time and presence. So if you can't just, if you don't have a lot of money or connections or access, for example, to give people, you might be able to volunteer. Like if you know, like if I know I want to get in Kim's good graces and I'm not a member at Forge, but I know what church she goes to, I might make sure that I'm like at an event she's at church, or if she's a part of another organization, I might try to get a table at that event, or if she's a volunteer, I might try to show up there. So you can be really, really intentional of like getting the places where your kind of ideal partners are. So maybe they're part of a board or in a civic group, or they host events, or you know they're attending an event, being at that event. If you see, like I just did this week, there were a bunch of awards in my town here, and for it was like Entrepreneur of the Year. So there's 5 people I knew that I wanted to work with, and I was like, hey, just want to let you know that I nominated you for this, and I have these and these questions. They are going to remember that. I'll tell you that right now. And then I had another friend message me and ask me to nominate them for an award who I hadn't even thought of. But because he asked me, I was like, hey, and then I wrote him back and I said, here, if you're going to email people and ask them for nominations, make sure you make it really easy for them. Tell them your phone number, tell them all the things that it asks in the application form, and include like all the things to do. And he wrote back, he was like, oh my gosh, that's the best idea ever. So that's another way, is just nominating people for things, writing reviews, and just giving of your time. People are going to start remembering you and referring back to you. Providing your knowledge or information, kind of like today, I am, as a way to like get to know all of you guys. Like I'm like, hey, here's some info. I'm not getting paid to do this. It's the middle of my day, but I'm so happy to like share the stuff because I know how valuable it is. May not lead anywhere, but it makes Kim like me more, and so that's worth it. That's part of it, right? So sharing a resource, creating a resource, offering to do a presentation, creating a guide, a lead magnet, a checklist, something that your ideal audience would deem valuable, and just giving it away. They can opt in, to provide their email for it. I mean, that's kind of more on the marketing side, but can also just be like, hey, so-and-so, I just found this. I think it'll be so useful. Just like we have Connect coming up next week. If you know some people that you're like, oh my gosh, this would be so good for them, send them an email. Hey, I just heard about this thing. I think it would probably be good for you. I'm going to check it out, or I've already checked it out. It's going to be great. And just sharing information like that with people, and you do it enough, they're going to start feeling like indebted to you. Like, oh my gosh, like, I was trying to pull up the name here, but they're all hidden. I see Kim's face. I'm going to keep using Kim, but it's like, okay, Kim keeps sending me like all these people. What am I going to do for Kim? Or Kim keeps helping me in all these ways. And then people really start like digging deep to find ways that they can help you in return. So another way of value is just access. So you might be a part of an exclusive club or community, or have a amazing database of people, or you're literally making one-on-one connections. So if you knew someone who needed a website and you referred them to someone you knew who built websites, so that is like super, super high value, because you are opening your database and kind of like putting your name on the line to recommend someone. A lot of times, people are like, they want to set up referral partnerships, but if you don't have a relationship with that partner and you're referring people to somebody, that could actually really hurt your credibility, because you might find out that they weren't taken good care of. And so in the same way, before you refer someone to anyone, you either need to refer them saying, I haven't worked with them before, but I really like them, or I've heard of them, but I've not worked with them, or something like that, instead of, and then just, finding out afterward, like how it went. And hopefully whoever was referred to them then reaches out to you and gives you like a big fat thank you for that referral on both sides. All right, so this is kind of the ladder that I kind of how I visualize it. So access being the highest and just emotions being the lowest, and but they're all super valuable, and you can end up getting amazing jobs and opportunities and growing a business just by being a delight to people emotionally, and in person and virtually, all the way up to the person who just, is connecting people left and right. So, and the way to treat any networking opportunity is you want to walk around with all your value and understanding your value, like you have $100 and everyone else has $20, so that, anytime you talk to somebody and you're like, hey, I've got this, do you want to trade? Like, everyone's going to want to make that trade with you because you're always offering more. You're always bringing more value than the next person. If you walk around with $20 asking everyone for $100, everyone's going to be really suspicious of you, right? And there's just something to the giving first. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but sometimes, and you can't really let that get to you and just like, okay, that person wasn't for me, this opportunity wasn't for me. If you do end up giving, not literally $100, but $100 of value. So if you want to network effectively, you want to bring your best energy to each opportunity, and that all depends on the individual and your goal in mind. And so that's why I'm trying to just give lots and lots of examples. So I keep talking about that give first mindset. When you go to a networking opportunity, especially if it's an event or whether it's a networking event or a conference or a virtual event or just joining a co-working space, for example, you don't want to think about like, okay, who's here, scan the room, who's going to be the most valuable to me. Like, just think about how can you give value and make an impact on other people. And that becomes your goal, because that makes everything way less scary and way less uncomfortable. And it makes everyone you meet feel really, really good about you. Because just like a relationship, you're not normally getting married after the first time meeting someone. You're not normally getting a new client or contact after the first time meeting them. So networking is a lot of time, it's just like doing enough to take them to the next step. Like, you're not trying to get the home run very first time you meet someone. If you can, well done. It's just not the norm. The only self-serving goal should be to find one thing you can learn from someone to apply to your life business. So when you go in with those two mentalities, it just takes the pressure off and just makes things to be a lot more fun. And then just know your value, know the things that you can bring. And if it's just like being like emotionally bright and supportive and energetic, like, that's great. But if you know that you've got like, tons of connections that you could provide access to, or like a whole co-working community, or access to, for me, like all these young professionals. So I feel like in my town, I can get a meeting with anyone if I'm in, without me even telling them what I need, just saying like, hey, this is who I am. I have all this access. I have some questions for you. Do you have a few minutes? And sometimes, like, I have another screen where I'll tell you all the crazy things I've done to get meetings with people, and it works. It's effective. So, so another trick is just making sure you know the problem you solve for businesses. So don't walk around talking about like all the features your business does. So it's like, oh, we do websites and logos. It's no, we work with small business owners to attract leads and convert those leads into customers, and we do that through these channels. So talk about the problems you solve, and then for your customer's customer. So some of us have businesses that make it really hard to network with our actual, or to provide value for our actual customer. I'm trying to think of what a good example of that might be, but you can also think about providing value to their customer's customer. So for example, if I want to network with real estate agents, and I'm like, I don't know what I could do for real estate agents, but I know I could provide something that the real estate agents could give to their clients, and they would find that super valuable. And so maybe it's like I give them access to my CRM that helps them nurture their leads or something like that. That wasn't a great example, but finding ways to serve your customer's customer can sometimes help you get in the door even more than just serving them, because they might be like, I don't need that, but oh, you can help my customers? Sure. yeah, you got to give it to them. You can't be a great networker and great connector if you just genuinely are self-serving and don't care about people. I don't feel like that's the case here with anyone in this group, because you guys all showed up for this call. So it's always just focus on getting to the next step, whether it's the next step in the ladder through building the connection, or the next step of taking a prospect that you're meeting to through kind of your sales process of getting them to trust you. Okay. Oops. All right. So how can you network without it taking all of your time? All right. So we're going to talk about what a 30-day networking game plan could look like, and what are your goals? So are they more clients, more customers? Are you looking for more referral partners? Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for political advancement, career advancement? You can see my last notes here. Did not get all these in here. And get clear on the problem your business or position solves for your customers or clients. And then think about who are the next 10 dream clients or customers. Now you could also do 100, like who's your dream 100 clients and customers. And then you just kind of want to work backwards. You know, where are they spending time? In person or online? And how can you start tapping into that? Can you see if you have mutual connections and ask them? Are there people you're already connected to that can help facilitate an introduction? Just 2 weeks ago, I had a former client who, through the publishing company we're with, so it was like an ad client, who was not returning my emails, and they had transitioned to a new person. And I have a friend who works for that company, and I was like talking to her, I was like, look, I've called, emailed, I was like, can you just set up a lunch for all of us? I was like, I'll treat, I just want to meet her. And so she set up, she was like, yeah, it's tomorrow. And I was like, okay, sure, I can make it work. And so like went to lunch, and that was a way, like now I know for a fact she's going to return my emails, because now I have a relationship with her. I got to, you know, do the whole dog and pony show at lunch, and then, really befriend her and get to know her at lunch. Whereas before I was just like a random salesperson trying to talk to her. And think about what time, knowledge, gifts, or access you can provide your dream 10. And I actually forgot, I had skipped one in the value ladder, which was a gift or offer you can give people. So like Forge will do, free day pass, come in, they might do like a discount on space for people they're really trying to network with. If you're trying to get referral partners, you might incentivize them. So sorry, that was one that I just realized I skipped. Okay. And then this is the part that will set you apart from everyone else who's trying to network, and that is following up like a boss. And if you've ever done sales of any kind, you know that it's not the first time that you get it. It's not the second. Like I think the average now is like 7 or 8 follow-ups. And think about all the emails that you get of people trying to sell you stuff, and the ones that you reply to and the ones that you don't. And so you have to set yourself apart. And one of my biggest hacks is like finding out which way they like to communicate best. So if they say it's email, then I honor that. But if they're like, yeah, we can text or Facebook Messenger, like I like that a lot more, because I feel like I can see when they get it immediately, and I can have more fun with media. So I love recording videos and sending them to people. So I'll just record a video on my phone. It doesn't matter if I just like I'm sweaty from the gym or whatever. And like, I talk to them about the status of their account. I update them on what we're doing. I just say, hey, like if we have something else in common, like I check in with that. So I make sure that I have more than just like a business relationship with everyone, whether it's a current client or a referral or whatever. And so now like I'm having fun with those GIFs of me, like just making people laugh. Like everyone has just laughed, right? I'm like, hey, yeah. So, you might not have a business that like allows you to be really silly, but if you can, and that's like true to your kind of your persona and who you are, like have fun with it, because I've built my dream agency and my dream business. I don't need a big brick and mortar. I don't want to wake up and be at the office at 7 o'clock. I don't need 30 employees. I want to have like really high touch relationships with my clients and with my team and provide a lot of value. And we never work with more than about a dozen clients at a time. So like I've designed my business this way. Not everyone has the luxury of doing that, but there are still tons of ways to follow up that, you know, might not be as silly as I like to get. But I have found that when you can smile with your clients and with your team, it gives you a lot more leeway when things aren't perfect, because things are never perfect all the time. Gratitude. So that's another way to follow up. So if somebody did something, if you can think of all the people who did something for your business in the last month or year, and go like bend over backward to thank them, like 5 different ways, like a text, an email, doing a social media post, sending them something in the mail. The Go Giver is a great book. Think and Grow Rich is another great book. I have pretty much built my business on doing this also. So just thanking referrals, thanking people along the way. I literally got this in the mail yesterday, which is cool because this is something I like to send to people. It's called a greetable. So it comes in a box and you open it and you can like customize the message inside. You can customize all of these things. So when I do them, I usually put people's pictures. I'll put like their business logo and their picture in here and then write them a message. And then this one came with like, I thought that was pretty cool. And then a $25 gift card to Barnes & Noble. And this is just somebody who I gave advice to, but I'm never going to forget this. Like I've already messaged him and been like, because he knows I send these. So he attended one of my trainings and found out I do this. And then he sent me one. So he is a master networker. So he's a realtor. And so he wants to earn my business. So the more win-wins you can create in networking and in growing your business and building up referral partners, the easier it is. When you're walking around asking for things, you can dread hanging up the phone. But when you're picking up the phone or showing up and you know you have something to offer and bring them, it just makes it so much easier. In the same way, you know, with, again, like in Birmingham during COVID, I don't know a lot of people, but I was like, hey, I'm spending a lot of time at Forge and I already started networking with the young professional groups. I'm like, well, let's see what happens when I connect the 2 of them. That was a win-win-win because everybody got to win in that regard. So here are examples. So this Zoom kind of recording is a gal in town who does, she's a real estate agent. And so she started this morning coffee things, and there's about a dozen of us in there, but they're all potential referral partners for her. So she brought in a bunch of people to have like a weekly, I think it's monthly. It was in person, but then it moved virtual, Zoom, and then also started asking people to invite other people. So it's like, hey, it started with maybe 6 where they're all like, hey, we all are to refer each other. How can we get other people in there? And they started recommending other people to join that call, and then inviting people of the 12 to present each time. For just like 15 minutes. And so like I've done a little presentation in that group. And so I thought that was a really brilliant way to do it. And that group hasn't been meeting for a little while, but it's an amazing example. And there's hopefully your wheels are turning of a way that you can do that. Up here is like just some local media, you know, when they do the awards and they want you to vote on a person or vote on a business. Do you know why they do that? They do that so those people and those businesses will take their calls the next time they try to sell them something. So they're like, hey, you've been nominated. Oh, and our salesperson now wants to talk to you, whereas a month ago you weren't nominated and you didn't want to take that sales call. So it's just the way, it's reciprocity. They give something to you, and so they know you're going to feel guilty and at least take the meeting, even if you don't do anything with them. So down here on the bottom is another realtor. Right when COVID happened, he just started interviewing business owners online. He was like, I just want to start checking in with people, record a live. And he gave him FaceTime with a lot of people that he might not have otherwise. And everyone was kind of home, and he probably got yeses from people he probably wouldn't have otherwise. So I thought these were some good recent examples. And then I've already mentioned Forge a lot, but I'll tell you, I know people who grow their entire coaching business by doing podcasts. So they basically just dream 100 their podcast guest. So they only invite people on the podcast who they would want as a client. And so, you spend an hour talking to somebody or 30 minutes talking to someone on a podcast. By the end of it, you feel pretty good about it. You probably like and trust that person. And so it becomes easier to say like, okay, well, here are some things that we do. Does any of this sound interesting? Or, hey, let's set up a call next week and we can actually see what it would look like to do something together. So, so Kim has a podcast where she talks to local entrepreneurs and businesses. They host events there. They're creating partnerships like Women's Day. They partnered with the YP group. They get people on site with a free day pass. So here's just some, so she's been on other people. Hey, she didn't know I was gonna do this. Yeah, girl, I see you. I've been watching you. She has been guest on other people's podcasts. So when you are, and when you say yes to being on somebody's thing too, like your expectation of them is to like share it and thank you for it and things like that. And so, make sure if you're worried about what your time investment is going to be up front, that you get something kind of whatever you want to get out of it on the back end. She's got a referral program. So that's part of like giving, it's, if she walked around to everyone at Forge and said, hey, do you know anyone who would want to join? That doesn't feel as good as saying, hey guys, if you send someone to us, we're going to hook you up. It's so much easier to do that. And then all these partnerships with International Women's Day. This is, I love this story, and I know, okay, still got a lot of slides up, but this is my friend Alexandra, and I made Alexandra be my friend. She's one of my best friends now, but about 6 years ago, I didn't know her, and she's an insurance agent, and she was with another agency at this time, and she started this website called My Sunshine Adventures. Okay, she sells car insurance, y'all. And I'm like, what is this girl doing? And so she was going around calling local businesses and saying she wanted to do a video interview with them for her website, which was just an event calendar and things going on around town. And so she would go and just record on her cell phone. And she's like, she's actually from Alabama, which is funny, but she's got a really thick accent like I haven't heard anyone from Alabama have. And she's like, hey y'all, I'm here with Kim from Forge, and we're just here in her space, and look at all this. And then she'll ask them a couple questions, and you guys, they were terrible. I mean, but you enjoyed them, but it was like low quality, like everything about them was like low quality. But this girl crushed it with her business, because what kind of insurance agent do you want to do business with? The 1-800 number you call and get a rando, or the person who's going to show up at your business and do an interview with you and totally bring the energy, right? And so she ended up actually monetizing her website. And I was using her as an example at a talk I was doing for an in-person event. This is years and years ago. And I was like, I don't know this girl, but I'm like, I am so impressed. And so somebody told her I'd used her in a presentation. And so anyway, she became like the first ambassador I had for my young professional group. And then she started leading all the ambassadors in the young professional group. And now she's one of my best friends. So I attracted her into my life by giving her kudos and basically making her be my friend. All right, so this guy is a marketer, and he created a Facebook group in the last 2 years called ICAG, I Know a Guy Girl. And so it's a really fun community Facebook group where people can recommend other people. So it's like, hey, do you know somebody who does this? And so ICAG's I Know a Guy Girl. And then he's moved to in-person, and now he has a membership base. But I've been really impressed with what he's done. And I have a video interview that I did with him, and another one I did. I had a bunch more examples, but if you go to my blog at Remedy Digital Agency, I have a number of interviews I did with people about how they started their community, because I was just really fascinated by it. And at one point I thought I was going to create like kind of a training portal for people who wanted to start communities like that, and I was going to have them available here. And so I was like, well, let me just see how these go. But I wanted something from them. I wanted an hour of their time, and I wanted to use their intellectual property. And so to get them to do it, I sent them an email like with the subject, can I feature you? Not, can I pick your brain? Not, can you please help me? Like, it was, no, like, can I feature you? Can I hook you up? And so I let them know I wanted their time and knowledge. I complimented them on what they'd accomplished, that I valued their opinion and expertise, that in exchange, I'm going to position them as an expert in what they do. And I'm going to give them access to my audience. I'm going to share this on all these channels. We're going to email it. It's going to live in YouTube. It's going to live on the blog. And then was very clear and what I would need for them. Now, another way to do this would be like giving them a super high level, waiting for them to say yes, and then telling them everything else. So there's a couple ways to do that. But I'm sure Kim has had a similar probably experience getting people on the podcast. But we all think it's going to be hard to get someone to say yes. And they're just like, it's just not. A lot of times it's just not. All right, so this is more on your customers, and how you can serve them instead. So just some ideas, a training or guide that serves their customer, access that helps them reach their customer, a resource that they would want, template contracts, template scripts. So the insurance agent I mentioned before, she reaches out to realtor brokerages and said, hey, can I come and teach your agents about these things that they need to know about when they talk to their clients about coverage. Like wind and hail is really big here because we do get a lot of hurricanes. So for free, she goes to brokerages and talks to agents about things they need to do to educate their clients. But then they start realizing like, oh, wow, she knows a lot about things that I didn't know that I need to be able to tell my buyers and sellers, I guess in this case, buyers. And so I'm going to make sure that I refer her. And she now has her own agency and is crushing it. And then figure out what your unique gifts are. Are you great on video? Are you a great writer? Are you great at bringing people together? Are you really great at doing research or interviewing, buying gifts? I mean, there's all kinds of things that probably come really naturally to you that you can start using to leverage with these contacts and relationships. So how can you leverage your energy? So I bet if you wrote one heartfelt, specific thank you a day for the next 30 days, you would get business from it. I promise you. Like, especially if in that you included something about how excited you are to be doing what you're doing, or how excited you are to be seeing the results that you're seeing for others. Thank you so much for referring me so-and-so. We've now been able to do X, Y, Z. Like, I can't thank you enough. And here's a gift, something like that. Time, volunteering, show up, knowledge, free gift or training or how to, a gift or discount, referral, and then access. So all these things we keep talking about. So these are some of the crazy things that I've done. So started a networking group. I love to share wins on social media. I don't necessarily love to say like, hey, I did this great thing, but when other people talk about me, I reshare it and I'm like, oh, this was so nice. But you can also just brag about yourself, but always focus on the results and not necessarily like how great you are. Hosting a ladies night or industry specific night, host a training. So I've done them for other organizations and I've done them just kind of under my own name. Volunteer for events. I always reach out to the person I'm volunteering with ahead of time to make sure they know me before it even starts. I show up early or stay late because that's where the real networking happens. That's another hint. The business book club. I play a lot of golf. I've gotten a lot of clients on the golf course. So I love to treat people for golf, but I also do trade with the golf course. So I get to golf for free and bring people for free because of relationships that I've managed there. So I need to make that happen in Birmingham, but I have that here in North Carolina. Write an article about somebody else on your own blog or about another business. Host or attend a fundraising table lunch. Share somebody else's content on social media, write a review on any platform, but then follow up with them and say, I just wanted to let you know I wrote this review. I didn't have enough great things to say, elaborate. Send a greetable, which I just showed you. Send a thoughtful gift, book, quote, journal. If it's someone you're really, really trying to get in front of and you're having trouble, like I did, go through somebody else to help you get in front of them and make sure that they say what you want them to say and then find out how they want you to reach out to them. I've done video, blog, and podcast interviews. I've created and sent surveys. So I went to a conference a few years ago, which is actually a conference that I met my now boyfriend at. And there were all these speakers and digital marketing, more specifically in like Facebook and Instagram ads, that I knew I was going to be calling on for help. I was like, these guys know way more than me, and I want to, if I reach out to them, for them to reply to me. So I created cartoon. I went to Fiverr.com, hired an artist. It was like $25 per person, and they created like their own like superhero version of each person. So that was one of the most extreme things, because people lost their minds. Like Kurt, this guy, he sent out an email to his list of like 30,000 people about it. He's used it on ads, like, and so now if I have a question and I DM him something, he always replies, and that cost me $25 and like, 10 minutes of time. So worth it. If I want to have a Zoom meeting with somebody, I say, hey, let me know what you want for lunch and your address. I'll have it sent to you. And that way I know they're not going to cancel on me for that Zoom appointment, because they're going to have it delivered and know what they want. And then we just kind of have lunch together. I refer other people like crazy whenever I can. One, it just feels really good to help other people. And two, it's just reciprocity. Spent 5 figures on coaching courses, easy. And so when I've gotten a lot of work through attending events and networking with other people in my industry also. And then one thing, which actually isn't even on here. So I work a lot in the education space with like universities. So it can be really hard sometimes to get one of those people to answer the phone or return an email, or even in this particular instance, we did a presentation. They asked for a proposal, submitted a proposal, and then like weeks were going by without a response. And so we'd call and they'd give us a runaround. So I delivered a presentation on an iPad. So I mean, that's $600 out of my pocket, but it was a multiple 5-figure deal, and it ended up being totally worth it. Otherwise, I don't know if you've ever done it, but it's like there are things you can do to get in front of the people that you want, that are giving first. All right. So this is like an ebook I created too, that's gotten a lot of people on my email list. It's not an actual book. I paid, I think, $5 to take the cover and make it look like an actual book. It's just a PDF that you print out, but it looks fancy, right? So, I literally have 2 slides left. So, and then anything you do create as far as a community or content, find multiple purposes for the same thing. So like, for example, with this recording, this is something that Kim can take and she can upload it to Facebook. She can upload it to YouTube. She can put it in a blog. She can put it on the back end of a membership portal. She can splice it up and do different things with it. So you can take content that you've taken the time to create and find multiple purposes for it. Yes, so these are just kind of like my last rambling notes, but yeah, thankfulness, gratitude will get you a really long way, and don't be afraid to ask for a referral, especially when you've had a happy client and getting a testimonial, and just say, do you know anyone else? Okay, how can we make a connection right when they're primed, when they're happy. And then, yeah, some things not to do. Don't walk around with $20 asking for $100. Think you don't have value to bring, because you certainly do. And not treat someone referred to you with kindness and respect, even if they're not a good fit. Just do your best to point them in the right direction, and get back to them like in a reasonable amount of time. Don't just ask to meet with people to pick their brain or meet with someone because you know they can help you. Try to come to that with something that you can do for them, or just say like, I know I don't have anything to offer you right now, but everyone says I need to meet you, or I've been reading your articles or seeing your posts, or I've seen you do these things. Can I buy you lunch, or can I buy you like offer? And a lot of times they won't even want what you offer, but just come willing to give something. Like I get emailed all the time of people wanting to pick my brain, and it makes me crazy, literally crazy. So not everyone's going to feel that way, but that's totally how I feel. And then don't assume anyone owes you anything. Just be fabulous. If you don't get anything back, don't worry about it. don't just, send a bunch of impersonal messages. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen that, where people just friend you on Facebook and then start spamming you with messages. And then don't ever forget to thank someone that provides you value, and just getting really creative, and you'll find things that feel really good, because it does feel really good to thank and validate and acknowledge people. So these steps will help you become a magnet for attracting your dream connections, whatever that looks like. And here's how you can follow up with me. And that's it.
All right, and we will follow up with everybody with an email with Jenna's information. So we always like to try to end on time, or at least give people an opportunity to bow out on time without feeling awkward. So 2 things, I'm going to put the slides back up if y'all are interested in connect. That I did not pay Jenna or do anything extra to get her to talk about it so much. I think my face was just in the right position. So and if you're interested in membership at Forge. So I just wanted to put that up there. And thank y'all so much for coming today and attending. If you have any questions, extra questions for Jenna, definitely reach out. But so without it being awkward with people leaving, I do want to give anybody time to ask questions. You can turn your cameras back on, your microphones back on. And if you have any further questions for Jenna, definitely we are opening it up for anybody, if anybody has questions. And I'll go first. Like, I mean, I know that you mentioned, like, how do you do it without taking all of your time? But do you have some type of like formula or time allotted that you spend every day? Or is it just part of, I mean, because it's like, oh, that's a lot. It seems like a lot, you know?
Well, that's where the intentional part comes in. And if you start with like just who your dream 10 is, like if you're like, hey, I know I want to get I know these 10 referral partners are going to be crucial, or start with 5 or 1, and so just start working. It can be easier with larger numbers, because if one's not working, maybe something else is. But and if you're, for people who are like insurance agents or something like that, you kind of do need to cast a wider net. You probably do want to have like a more concise formula. Mine is, I don't have a concise formula. It's all individual to the person that I'm trying to get in front of. But I used to be real like cast a wide net, and now I'm like, I target in on who I want to work with and know.
Yeah, I loved that idea, your top 10. And then I also love like write a thank you note for the next 30 days. It's a great practical.
Yeah, it's good for your brain too, when you're focusing on gratitude and you're like, oh wow, this person really did this great thing. And when you record a video and send it to someone, even it's just like, hey, just wanted to tell you I'm thinking about you, hope you have an awesome day, like a friend or family member. Like after you send that and like they're gonna get it, like you feel so good, like you feel so good. So like little things like that can go a long way.
Laurel, did you have any questions? I just totally.
I do not. I really enjoyed the approach that you use. Prior to starting my own business, I was in a position, the title was community relations, but I was a relationship manager in 90 communities in New Hampshire. And it was, and I did a lot of the same things because I had to really hone in and be focused on, where was I providing value and who needed me most, I suppose, which was just good for the company I worked for. That was it. I wasn't selling anything. We were an electric company, so people needed to buy from us. It didn't matter.
Your job was to make people feel good about doing business with them. Like,
right. So when the power went out, they still liked us, right? And now that I own my own business, it is so much more difficult. But the more that I'm reminded of those, the things that you talked about, the things that I used to do when it wasn't for me, make it so much easier. So I think that was really helpful. Thank you so much.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I also am curious how, I think there were 3 or 4 of us from New Hampshire here. So I'm really curious how that happened. Facebook is an amazing thing.
That is so amazing.
That is really funny.
Yeah, really funny.
And y'all don't know each other, right?
No, it's interesting because I'm going to say, I think it was Holly and I are in a women's entrepreneur community, but it's an online community. So I've never met her.
Yeah.
So there's a great co-working network in New Hampshire, and there's a really great women entrepreneur community in New Hampshire. So it's interesting that somehow Facebook put it in front of me.
That's right.
And put it in front of them. I don't know. But thank you, ladies.
Yeah, Facebook is amazing. It really is. Well, Jenna, thank you so much. This was awesome. A good reminder and encourager for all the things that we know to do and then sometimes just forget.
Yeah, sometimes we just make it so much harder than it needs to be.
Yeah. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you, Laurel. Grazie. I don't know if you're still there, but thanks for joining us. Yeah, I think she's probably stepped away. Right.
Yeah, she doesn't know. All right, bye.